How is you know when you blah 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 blah. Oh, there is blah 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 blah. Oh, there is something wrong with the settings. Yeah, yeah, I understood the gain is low, but I just don't understand. You think blah blah blah. Okay, okay. Let's remove the noise gate. Now at least it's not going to cut off, but still the gain is too low. Oh, the gain is 5. But I think 5 was even before. I'm confused. Let's unplug the mic. Okay, how about now? Now it's still too low. I don't get it. I did update my Debian today, but I don't see how. I mean, I can boost the gain, but that's not what I would want to do. Filters, gain. La 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 la. Okay, now it's la 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 la. Now it should be fine. Now it should be fine in terms of the volume. It's just that I'm unsure what is the quality now. And like, is it has the quality gone to shit now? Because this is a whole lot of boost in post processing, so I'm not sure if that's a good thing to do. Blah 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 blah. I'm just setting up noise gate. You can hear yourself back. That takes a little bit of time. I need a wire from my headphones. It check mixer. La 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 la. I don't know. Mixer seems fine. Everything is at 100%. Yeah, let me hear myself back. Amco, welcome in. Alsa mixer. I was checking KD mixer. Okay, let me install Alsa mixer. I'm sure it's already no, it's not. I just tried. Oh, that's not the GUI that I wanted. Crap. Okay, let me. I'm too distracted. I can't do multiple things at once. I have plugged in the headphones in order to try to hear myself, and I still didn't set this up yet. And the mixer comes at a later step after I can start hearing myself. Also, utils. Oh, that is installed, yeah. Okay, let's uninstall Alsa Mixer GUI. apt auto purge. Okay, now to set up my feedback. Monitor. Okay. Okay. Okay, now I can hear myself talking. Okay. I mean, if you could adjust the gain in Alsa Mixer, you wouldn't need to hear yourself. Why? Let me just turn off the feedback. I cannot talk and hear myself at the same time. It's way too distracting. Why would you think that if I could adjust gain in Alsa Mixer, then I wouldn't need to hear myself? That doesn't make any sense. The reason why I wanted to, the reason why I agreed with you that I want to hear myself is because I want to hear if there is quality degradation because of the added 20 decibels of gain in post-processing. That's what I was worried about. The VU meter, I can see that in OBS. It's perfectly fine. It jumps into the yellow where it's supposed to be. So the gain volume is fine right now, but hardware gain, not software. But okay. What is the mixer? What is the command for Alsa mixer anyway? Is it the I forgot. No, I don't have that. Alsa mix. Oh, I do have that. Crap. Why didn't that work when I tapped it the first time? But that's not the mixer that I wanted, but whatever. Playback, F4 capture. Capture which one? La, 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 la. Okay, now it's quieter, quieter. Now it's getting louder, louder, louder. Audio devices. Yeah, it's what I thought. The Alsa mixer doesn't do anything particular. You know, when you go to the KDE configure audio devices in KDE, you get that ugly interface that you once told me that it's mumble jumbled and you don't like the way it looks, and it's not orderly placed with the volume knobs. So when you move that slider, actually let me switch here, right? So here, this one, I mean this one. So when I pull this here to the 50%, now you can suddenly hear myself doubly lower. This is the hardware volume, the same one as in Alsa Mixer, right? So when I pull it down in Alsa Mixer, this one here also pulls itself down. So this is the hardware volume. That's what I was checking the very first thing. Also, I have already listened to myself and it sounds perfectly fine. I just don't know what happened. Also, when I go to filters, okay, so filters, I don't know how well you can see this, but gain here was on 5 decibels and now I have boosted it to 20. And the only fear that I had is that 20 decibels extra on top of the 100% volume on the hardware would be too much. And I'm actually pretty sure that if I would reboot my computer once again, it may just fix itself. So this is the this is also mixer here. And F4 for the capture, F5 for all, F4 for the capture, F6 for the card, the Rode microphone. Oh, what the hell? La 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 la. La la la. Oh. La 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 la. Okay, okay. Now we're back. Yeah, looks like you were right. It's just that when I launched Alsa Mixer, I didn't switch the device to the microphone. So God knows what I was changing. Now I have decreased the gain back to 5 on OBS as it was previously. And I see that all of it sounds fine now. I don't hear it, but I can make myself hear it. Just a sec. And output. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. La la la. Which can be disconnect. Oh shit! I can still hear myself. Monitor off. Okay. What I was trying to do. Oh, the filters, filters, filters. One more thing. Filters. Actually, it's fine. Anyways, we should start soon. Could it be that because I have updated Debian to the latest point release just before the stream, could it be that one of these packages has, I don't know, reset my microphone volume for whatever reason? Decreased it for whatever reason? It didn't happen to you? Am I even live on YouTube? I mean, it looks like I am. It's just that it says literally 0 viewers from the beginning, and that's a little bit odd. Let me just check YouTube, what's going on. Live stream. Did you have WebRTC meeting? I might have had, but honestly, I no longer remember. Unlisted. Oh, why is my stream unlisted? How did I do that? Okay, now it's public. How did I manage to start my stream unlisted? No wonder nobody connected. Okay. Now somebody should come. Okay. Let's see if anyone will connect. I have spent 18 minutes fixing shit and not actually being online on YouTube. At least not public. Let's do the test. Test. Yep. Okay, I only need one person on YouTube just to be sure that this actually works. So that I chat rate, that's my chat. Okay, whatever. Actually, let's see in the private window, is this visible or not? Okay, I got an ad. Rootlex doesn't know shit. Yeah. Skip the ad. Okay, looks like it's working. It says concurrent viewers 0. Okay, YouTube panel is broken since I have connected via private window and I can see Alexei on YouTube. That should be at least 2, and it says 0 on my end, so whatever. I think it should be fine if we only wait for the regular citizen of this stream and then give it a go. Okay. Let me see, where is my file? BGC. Did I announce it on Matrix? No. No, but I can do that. General. Did I manage to ping everyone or not? My Neo chat doesn't understand the here for whatever reason. Live copy. Where's the play button? I suck today. Where is my Neo chat? Here. But I don't know. Usually the clients. Was it not here? No, here was. I don't know. I'm so confused today. That worked. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to turn off the Matrix chat now. I don't want to look at it. Let's go ahead and switch to here. Oh, who wrote that? Aaron or Aaron. I'm not sure how to read that, but let's say Aaron. Welcome in. I learned C in 2 days when I was 19 in 1984 from a ring-bound photocopied version K&R. I already learned analog electronics. Digital electronics came across a key and lamp CPU unit in. Okay, that there's something missing in that message. I don't remember your name, but once again, welcome in. What I'm doing here, in Electro Magazine, learned machine code, then got 8-bit 6503 Acorn 8 Atom, and then printed out this assembly of the EPROM. Okay, so you do seem. Okay, 6502. So you're older than me. If you were 19 at 1984, because that's close to when I was born. I just wanted to tell you what I'm doing here is I am basically trying to learn C, and one of the ways I could learn C is by doing these live streams together with other people who are interested in, well, participating in any way they can, want, or know how. So some of people who join these streams are a lot better than I am. Some are close to my knowledge. Some are a little bit better than me, and there are a couple of different differences between me and regulars on these streams. And basically we're going through this book. It's not K&R. I actually got let me just see if I can show this on stream. I'm gonna switch to Facecam just to be sure that I don't show anything too private. Oh crap, I don't have that email right now. That doesn't matter. Guy emailed, oh, Iceblade, welcome. Yeah, the K and R person emailed me back. Maybe I can show it on my phone. Email Brian Kernigan. Okay. I'm trying to not show too much private stuff. You can, this camera cannot focus this. Whatever. Anyways, Brian Kernigan told me I can, it's mirrored anyway. Yeah, Dennis died, but I emailed Brian to ask him if I can show his book on the stream, because the license is not, you know, it's copyrighted material, and I shouldn't be doing that on YouTube. He basically told me he doesn't mind, but also that it's not his decision, but rather there is a publisher for that book. So he gave me, copyright is 50 years after the owner dies, you know, but he's still alive. He gave me an email for his book publisher and told me, go ask there, and, you know, I can forward his email, because I do kind of have his blessing on email. But the last time we already started with another book, which is free to show on the live stream. So let's just continue with that for now. It's actually a rather good book. Not that K and R material isn't a cult classic and a really good book, but it's different from this one. And this one is actually quite good. And we are going to continue with this one any minute now. Iceblade is here, so that's important. Or maybe that was the patent, sure don't remember. Iceblade doesn't matter too much. Sorry for distraction. No worries. I have spent, you are, where are you? On YouTube. Golga Katani, good evening. I actually started half an hour ago, and I spent almost 20 minutes fixing my microphone. And also, if you see how long this stream is streaming, you can see that it's already half an hour in, but I accidentally made it private. So I have unprivated it at 20 minutes in. Yeah, anyways, Aaron, if just to repeat myself shortly, at least my goal here is to learn C. How we are going to accomplish that, it doesn't really matter, but most of the time I'm just reading stuff and talking to people in chat about how and why. And when I feel like something isn't very clear for everyone, because this video is going to be watched by someone random later on, because it will be a video on demand. If someone completely new comes along, it will be, in my opinion, useful to clear out some things which I, as a beginner, things that aren't exactly clear, and sometimes people in chat answer some of these questions, so it becomes clear, and feel free to join in on the discussion why something works or doesn't. There aren't any spoilers, you know. It's not like we are watching a movie or anything. Feel free to talk whatever you feel like it could be helpful. Also, when I really don't understand something, I will always stop and tell everyone on stream that I don't understand this. And most of the times, people in chat help me out to understand it. And at the same time, whoever is going to watch this afterwards, like a video on demand, they also might get stuck on the same thing where I get stuck. So that's like a win-win scenario. Did you get to ternary operator practice? Actually, I didn't. You could have foreseen that happening, but I'll give it a try. Not today, but I just didn't do it. Yeah. Where's my mouse? Okay, let's SSH into my demo machine, and let's put that to the right. This one goes to the left. Okay. The chat is a little bit on top of the text on the shell, but it doesn't matter too much because when I need the shell, I'm just gonna go full screen with that. C got its operators from BCPL. Now I'm actually not familiar with that term, with those 4 letters together. Actually, I don't need. What did I do? I have pulled out the. Oh wow. Okay, this is my smart hat here. Check Wikipedia. I guess I can. Wikipedia BCPL. Wasn't the predecessor language just called B? Influenced B and C. Okay, that much I didn't know. Let me zoom in for everyone. Yeah, okay. I thought that B influenced C. Yeah, I know about B. I just didn't know basic combined programming language. It's procedural, imperative, and structured programming language originally intended for writing compilers for other languages, no longer in common use. However, its influence is still felt because a stripped down and syntactically changed version of BCPL called B was the language on which the C programming language was based. So I was actually half correct. Okay, good stuff. The last time we stopped somewhere here, the comma operator. Actually, 2 lessons remained the last time. Boolean and size of, right? Conditional after this we can learn D. I don't think I will deal with D. Both half correct. I love computer language history. One of the reasons why I want to get deeper into C, no matter that nowadays I can just use AI, for whatever. I want to learn as close to metal as possible, and that's one of the things that C is very good at, while at the same time being a very much current language and supported by pretty much anything. Okay, conditional operators, I am pretty sure that we finished these the last time. And then Rootlex said something like Boolean is easy. Like you can do that. And then I said, I'm too tired for that, whatever, right? So we stopped at Boolean. Close to metal is good even in high level language. One of the things I want to do as well after I get a little bit of a grip with C is also learn a little bit of assembly. With which CPU that remains to be seen. But I did buy a couple of these Raspberry Pi microcontrollers. So they have RISC-V CPU in there. That could be fun to fool around with assembly. Also Amiga computers from Commodore with Motorola 68000. That's a 16-bit CPU. Should be relatively handleable with my brain, I believe. I don't think I will get into current PC hardware and assembly. That's a little bit too much. RISC-V or ARM. In the Raspberry Pi microcontroller, this here has two CPU architectures in one chip, and when you fire them up, you get to choose which one to wake up. So you can use ARM and RISC-V. But I'm more interested in learning about RISC-V because I think it's the future. I don't mean that it's going to conquer the world. I just believe that it's very potentially useful knowledge to learn more about RISC-V. That's all I'm saying. So if I can minimize my going too much around the bush, and if I'm interested in assembly, then I need to focus on one of the CPUs, one architecture. So I think this should be handleable, right? ARM is now really a CISC. Yeah, fine, but wasn't RISC already a thing back in the day? Without me checking the Wikipedia now, I'm just talking. We are 40 minutes in and didn't go anywhere. Aaron, you should listen to Rootlex here. This is important. Okay, before somebody kills me for walking around the bush too much, let's go with Boolean. We can chain together or alter. No worries, Aaron. We can chain together or alter conditional expressions with Boolean operators for, and, or, and not. Yeah, I think this is pretty. I'm looking at chat in this direction and my PDF in front of me, right? Yeah, I think pretty much everyone is familiar with the and or not. It's just a matter of syntax, right? So let's go with some of these examples. Do something if x less than 10 and y greater than 20. Okay, so if x is less than 10, and okay, I get some notifications on the phone. I'm just going to turn it on its face. If x is less than 10 and y is more than 20, then print some of these messages. So this is pretty straightforward because we also need to include both of these both of these conditions, right? So in order for the if statement to function, I think that's fairly obvious. Example of not. Okay, so this is a little bit of a syntax that is something that requires a little bit of attention in terms of practice. I always say practice and I never practice. Silly me. But yeah, put the exclamation mark in front of the statement and you get the opposite. So that's pretty obvious. So if x is not smaller than 12, then do the thing. Exclamation mark has higher precedence than the other Boolean operators, so we have to use parentheses in that case. Of course, that's just the same as if x is higher or equal to 12. But I needed the example. One of the things that this author is doing, he is writing this book like he's talking to a friend. Whoever is first here on the stream, like Aaron or whoever else, you will see that soon enough. It's the way he writes, it's nice. It's nice. But okay, let's go with the size of operator. If there is a good chance to type something in the terminal, I will do that. But for now, this didn't really feel like it deserved too much of the practice in the terminal. Iceblade says easy to understand, and goose, goes in depth now and then. Yeah. This operator tells you the size in bytes that a particular variable or data type uses in memory. More particularly, it tells you the size in bytes that the type of a particular expression, which might be just a single variable, uses in memory. The size that the type of a particular expression uses in memory. Okay. This can be different on different systems except for char and its variants, which are always 1 byte. And this might not seem very useful now, but we will be making references to it here and there, so it's worth covering. Okay, sorry about that. Since this computes the number of bytes needed to store a type, you might think it would return an int or integer, or since the size can be negative, maybe an unsigned. But it turns out C has a special type to represent the return value from size of. It is size underscore t, pronounced size t. Not chugging olive oil. Actually, I'm gonna get the oil as soon as I start having problems with my throat, but right now I have dry mouth and I can't figure out why. It is what it is. I'm gonna deal with these annoyances as they come up. All we know is that it's an unsigned integer type that can hold the size in bytes of anything you can give to size of. Okay, size t shows up a lot of different places. Where counts of things are passed or returned. Did he mean shows up in a lot of different places where counts of things are passed or returned? That would make more sense in my head. Think of it as a value that represents a count. You can take the size of a variable or expression. Int a equals 999. %zoo is the format specifier for type size t. If your compiler balks at the z part, leave it off. Printf zoo size of a. Okay, prints 4 on my system. Wait a second, zoo is a format specifier for type size t. Okay. And size of a. Zoran, welcome in. The last time I saw you on the stream, you bailed out pretty fast. Iceblood says, as in it is 4-bit. So okay. If you need to print out negative size t values, use ZD. I'm still trying to wrap my head around understanding what we are getting with this. Intel 4004, I don't understand what that means. I was in a bit of hurry. No, I'm just kidding, Zoran. You're welcome to stay or not. Remember, it's the size in bytes of the type of the expression. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. What is it used for in real scenario? So it's not the size of the expression itself. Okay, I figured that already in the first explanation. That's why the size of 2 plus 7 is the same as the size of a. They are both type int or integer. We'll revisit this number 4 in the very next block of code. Aaron, I really don't mind you typing whatever is on your mind. It's just that I try to read out loud what people are saying in chat, and if you type something, I'm just letting you know, if you type something that's not directly connected to what I'm trying to figure out from the screen right now, you will get me confused. Iceblood says in C you can allocate memory and you use size t for that. Oh, okay, I guess we're going to get to that. Where we will see you can take the size of a type Note the parentheses required around the type name, unlike an expression. Printf zoo size of int prints 4. Zoo from char prints 1 on all systems. Okay, it's important to note that size of is a compile time operation. The result of the expression is determined entirely at compile time, not at runtime. We'll make use of this later on. Okay, I'm looking forward to making use of size t later on. It's just that I'm still trying to figure out what good is this giving us. Okie dokie. Flow control. Size t won't make much sense until we get to memory. Okay, Iceblade. Zoran says this goes over my head. Zoran, we actually just got started. This is the second lesson out of many. So these are the very basics. But not everything needs to be clear at once. The puzzle pieces will fit together eventually. Flow control. Let's do that. Booleans are all good, but of course we are nowhere if we can't control program flow. Rootlex says, for example, you want to allocate enough memory for 2 integers. So you allocate 2 times size of int. Since int can have varying sizes on different platforms, you can't not use the size of operator here. Okay, that actually makes very clear sense. Thank you. Iceblade says, Darren S, my keyboard is okay, Iceblade. Golga Katani in C in is 32-bit on C. I can't read that sentence. Golga Katani, you have slight issues with grammar. While Golga Katani is learning grammar, I'm gonna continue reading here. We're nowhere if we can't control program flow. Let's take a look at a number of constructs: if, for, while, and do while. Rootlex is answering in integers are 32-bit on 64-bit Intel system, AMD systems. Pardon my French. First, a general forward-looking note about statements and blocks of statements brought to you by your local friendly C developer. After something like an if or while statement, you can either put a single statement to be executed or a block of statements to all be executed in sequence. Let's start with a single statement. If x equals 10, print x is 10. This is also sometimes written on a separate line. white space is largely irrelevant in C. It's not like Python. What is Python like, anyways, in terms of spaces? Underscore T is short for type. That's actually good to know. In 2 lines, if x is 10, then print x is 10. But what if you want multiple things to happen due to the conditional? You can use these squirrely braces to mark a block or compound statement. If x equals 10, then we do the block, and inside the block x is 10, print that out and print. And also this happens when x is 10. Okay, so we have 2 print commands here. Give me just a second. I need to communicate something with my family here. Where is the mute button? I'm back. It's a really common style to always use squirrely braces even if they aren't necessary. Ne čujem, da. It's good. Okay, so this is a one-liner, but inside the squirrely brace block. Some developers feel the code is easier to read and avoids errors like this when things visually look like they are in the if block, but actually they aren't. Iceblood says, from what I remember in Python, a space could break the code, but nothing special on normal spaces. Zoran says, off topic to Dart, did you sell your laptops? Nope, they are still here. I actually haven't even checked my messages on YouTube, but also I told people to email me, so nobody emailed me. All good, they're still here. Just want to close this topic. I am interested in selling them, but don't do that on stream. Just send me an email, private message, whatever. Kind of want to, priorities, right? Live stream is a live stream. Okay, one more time. While and for and the other looping constructs work the same way as the example above. If you want to do multiple things in a loop or after an if statement, wrap them up in squirrely braces. In other words, the if is going to run the one thing after the if And that one thing can be a single statement or a block of statements. The if-else statement. We have already been using if for multiple examples since it's likely you've seen it in a language before, but here is another. Okay, if I is bigger than 10, then do this block here. If I is smaller or equal to 10, then do this part over here. So apparently this one will get executed. Iceblade is saying some jokes. Good. Jokes are good. In the example code, the message will print if I is greater than 10. Otherwise, execution continues to the next line. Notice the squirrely braces after the if statement. If the condition is true, either the first statement or the expression right after the if will be executed, or else the collection of code in the squirrely braces after the if will be executed. This sort of code block behavior is common to all statements. Of course, because C is fun this way, you can also do something if the condition is false with an else clause on your if. So set the integer to 99 and say if I is 10, so if 99 is 10, then do this, but of course it's not. So we are going to execute else. And you can even cascade these to test a variety of conditions like this. Set the integer to 99. Don't do this one. Don't do this one either. Okay, to test variety of conditions, I understand. Fool around until you get it. Or else print this. Okay. I is some crazy number I've never heard of. Nice. Though if you're going that route, be sure to check out the switch statement for a potentially better solution. The catch is switch only works with equality comparisons with constant numbers. The above if-else cascade could check inequality ranges, variables, or anything else you can craft in a conditional expression. You had a sub. I wasn't. If someone subs, it goes into the screen above me. I don't really see that. But I did see a sub while I was muted. That was like 10 minutes ago. Aaron says in Algol 67 you could use an expression like let. Oh, I remember let. I remember let from somewhere. From some older computer. Sorry, I need to do this. I need to do this. Oh, crap. Soul. You changed your name, Kaden. I was actually looking for your channel and didn't see it. Shit. And thank you for the message that I didn't see. Where did that go? Where did that go? Now it's Katie. Well, all good, all good. I'm not logged into the Twitch. I am a terrible streamer. Terrible streamer. 0. Okay, you have seen the code, but it doesn't matter. It's spent already. Alerts. Stream manager. Will I see any history here? Honestly, I have no clue how the Twitch interface works. Where does it say July 5, 2020? I log into Twitch interface never. Click Q. Okay. Following me since July 5, 2020. That is correct. The follow with okay, now I understand. We will actually be very like about an hour short of my birthday when we end this stream. I might even have a birthday in Russia while this stream is still going. So thank you for the birthday wishes. And you said to check iMessages. Can I read it out loud from my phone? I mean, it's private, so I need your permission to read it. Okie dokie. Message from Soul Raver, or you don't mind? Okay. Yeah. Hey there, Chilash. It's your birthday tomorrow. Hope you have an enjoyable day ahead before the big day. Hey, it's your good old friend Mr. Caden Games, Caden the Raver. Miss our hangouts on the old Sea of Thieves. Hit me up anytime, my friend. Miss you. That is definitely a nice, and actually the only, not only a nice one, but the only one I got today. So you're definitely the first. And we'll talk about those seas. I don't play that anymore, but I don't mind sailing a little bit for funsies. I'll reply your message after the after my live stream, but we really need to continue where we stopped, or otherwise people will leave the stream. I'll send you a message a little bit later in 3 hours. Happy birthday hour. I am in. Actually, let's put it this way. It's 8 o'clock in the evening here now. So 4 more hours until the birthday kicks in here, or 3 hours for some of the people in the chat. I got a little bit distracted with that really nice message from my friend Soul River, and I'm trying to make a decision about being a little bit of emotionally distracted right now, and trying to resume the programming lesson, but it's not very easy to resume the programming lesson when you get a really nice message for your birthday. And I really want to continue the programming, but I am I got a little bit distracted. It is a nice message. Iceblood says, me and Rootlex trying to not interrupt. Well, when someone knows you for like 6 years and they know when your birthday is, it's really nice, you know. So you're amazing. I'm just gonna say one more side note before I continue with the programming part. Any one of you who spends a lot of time on social networks, social media, whatever. I don't mean YouTube. I mean actual social media. You would notice over time when you see the same people over and over. Usually, people have the need to announce their birthday to the world so that they could get a happy birthday, congratulations. This is pretty common on social media. And I always thought that this is pretty stupid, because why the fuck do you care, you know, for congrats from random strangers? Like, it's stupid. I mean, but side note that if you don't announce it anywhere and you get a happy birthday anyway, now that is worth something, and that's why I am a little bit without proper words right now, because I really didn't announce it anywhere, and someone remembered. So okay. Across the world, across the seas. Though, if you are going that route, be sure to check out the switch statement for a potentially better solution. Yes, I have already read that, but let's do it again. The catch is, Switch only works with equality comparisons with constant numbers. The above if-else cascade could check inequality ranges, variables, or anything else you can craft in a conditional expression. The while statement. While is your average run-of-the-mill looping construct. That is a very small image of I'm trying to remember the name of the Microsoft game with that guy. Anyways, do a thing while a condition expression is true. Let's do one of those. Print the following output. I is now 0, I is now 1, blah, blah, blah. I is now 8, I is now 9. Okay, so we set the integer to 0 in the beginning, and then we do the while our integer is less than 0, print it, and increase its value, and then print it again until, or not until, but while it's still not 10, or while it's still smaller than 10. And then print we're done. That gets you a basic loop. C also has a for loop, which would have been cleaner for that particular example. A not uncommon use of while is for infinite loops, where you repeat while true. Okay. While 1 is always true, so this repeats forever. Actually, guys, is this a common way to do the infinite loop? Do you always put number 1 in here, or can I put any integer here? I feel like I should be able to put any integer here. You can put any integer except for 0. I use true though. While true. I have seen the examples where people use while true, and that makes a little bit more sense to me. Iceblood says I would not do that, but 1 and more is true for Boolean in C. Oh, okay. Soul River says I'll let you get back to business. I'm gonna rest my mind for later in case you want to chat. Happy birthday. Rootlex says, fun fact, you can do while forever. Aaron says for does it, but it's not as explicit syntactically. I cannot remember where I first saw it, but you can always use if break in the loop. I'm just gonna remember while true in my head. That should be good enough. But also it's I would say it's pretty important to understand all of the variations, including the one that Aaron mentioned, because when you're reading, I mean, when you're writing your code, you will do your way, and eventually you get this muscle memory, so you do it always the same. But when you're reading someone else's code, you should be able to understand what is while 1, what is while 56, and stuff like that. Aaron Gray says a 1.5 loop. I still don't get it. The do while statement. So now that we have gotten the while statement under control, let's take a look at its closely related cousin do while. They are basically the same, except if the loop condition is false on the first pass, do while will execute once, but while won't execute at all. In other words, the test to see whether or not to execute the block happens at the end of the block with do while. It happens at the beginning of the block with while. Read code base, best way to learn. Also, Aaron, if you like, we also have a new forum. It's mostly for my stuff that I make for now, but I invited people to contribute with different topics. But for now, it kind of seems to be a place for comments on my videos / blog posts, and also a little bit of homework for this C programming, which is still getting warmed up, but you will see it if you join the forum. I mean, you don't have to join the forum to see the topics. You can just click them and read them. Okay, using a while statement, I equals 10. This is not executed because I is not less than 10. Okay. Someone forgot last week homework. Yeah, I know. Busy week. I'm gonna catch up with both of these lessons in a couple of days. On the forum, I mean. Also, Rutlex warned me that the C lessons configuration on the forum is still for the old book that we are no longer reading, so that needs to be changed. Okay, while I is less than 10, and that will be always, print it and increase it. This is not executed because I is not less than 10. While I is less than 10, print this and increase the I, so it will never become 10, and yeah, of course it will never execute. Okay, using a do while statement. This is executed once because the loop condition is not checked until after the body of the loop runs. That's why it executes, because do this first and then increase the number, and then while I is less than 10, do stuff. Okay. I thought when the book initially said do dash while, I figured it would be a do dash while, but actually it's do the block first and then do the rest. I mean then while comes. They're not one word. That's what I meant. Notice that in both cases the loop condition is false right away. So in the while, the loop fails and the following block of code is never executed. With the do while, however, the condition is checked after the block of code executes, so it always executes at least once. In this case, it prints the message, increments the I, then fails the condition and continues to the all done output. The moral of the story is this: if you want the loop to execute at least once, no matter what the loop condition, use do while. I actually already like do while. I like it already. All these examples might have been better done with a for loop. Let's do something less deterministic. Repeat until a certain random number comes up. Okay, this looks like a good... Oh, crap. This is still not good for copy pasting. Try block select tool. Block select tool in Ocular. Area selection. If you meant this, I guess it worked, sort of. It's going to be a little bit of a mess. Where did it pull this squiggly from? I don't know. I should have typed this. It looks like shit. I can tell Emacs to fix to fix this. Do it. Eh? Okay, let me remember how it went to select the entire buffer. Okay, it says Control X H MX indent region. It looks a little bit better. Anyways, int main void int r do r equals random number out of 100. Print the number that we have chosen while r isn't 37. Repeat. Okay, sounds reasonable. GCC 4. There we go. One more time. I'm checking how many times will it take. Oh, it's always the same. It's always the same. Why is it always the same? Because, but let me just check the code one more time. GCC, no, not that. Emacs rand. Will it be the same now? It is. There is another one called srand, isn't there? srand, yes. We set R to that, so R ends in 37. No. I'm asking why is it always the same when I run the program? Shouldn't it be random? You know? Where is the random seed coming from? Why is it always 30? Not why is it always 37, but why is it? Why is the guesswork not random? That's what I meant. Read next. Because read next. We made R1s that we run. Oh, okay, let's read next. Browse. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Side note: did you run? Why did I select that tool? Tool. I don't want that. Where is my selection tool? Text selection. Okay. Read the book. Yes, I know. Did you run that more than once? If you did you notice the same sequence of numbers come up again and again and again? This is because rand is a pseudo-random number generator that must be seeded. Okay, I was right. With a different number in order to generate a different sequence. Look up the srand function for more. That's where I was aiming for. Now tell me I was wrong. And I remember this because I did a similar exercise like, I don't know, 2 years ago with trying to generate a random number, and it was always coming up the same. and then I came to srand, but I think it was it bash? I don't remember. But anyways, now I'm not gonna do that because I already done that. So the solution is in the manual. Anyways, the for statement. Welcome to one of the most popular loops in the world, the for loop. This is a great loop if you know the number of times you want to loop in advance. Add another include time.h this time and run srand time null to the first line in main. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Srand. That's not what I told you to do. To the first line in main. Not sure if the semicolon is needed here. Now it's better. Okay. You could do the same thing. That's one of the most often used ways to seed the random number generator. Use the current time. I remember some password generators, was it? Or was it something SSH related? Where it asked me to move my mouse around so that it can generate a random seed. Just an example. There is also dev random and friends. I'm I'm unsure if I remember this correctly, but dev random isn't perfect, as in when you require some kind of ultimate randomness in some high security scenario. I read somewhere that dev random isn't that random in terms of, you know, when your life depends on it, kind of a case. But good enough for everything else. Aaron says it's always pseudo-random, but you can seed and reseed from an external source. Yeah, I suppose that's why some applications tell the human to input some shit in order to aid the randomness. Oh, did you notice how you just hit 37 first try? I wasn't looking at that window, but in the chat. I noticed at one point it was just 5 guesses, but I didn't. I will slow it down. There, 5 seconds. So it's not changing all of the time. Ah, there we go, 37. I sad onaj vanjin krug. Onaj vanjin krug za snimanje, sad on skruva I stavi na ovo. Tamo ti ide mobitel. Where were we? Here somewhere, I think. Jacob Werner, welcome in. Anyone know if it's better to seed from main or seed from a function? A while ago, I wrote a C library with the Fisher-Yates shuffling algorithm. I assume someone smarter will answer this question, but I don't see how would seeding be any different in regards to where you start the seed from. Aaron says a random key press after a random time while generating random numbers is the simplest. Yeah. What I meant by mouse is if you can capture mouse movement with your software. For example, if you're doing a graphical application, or if you have any kind of mouse access, mouse generates a lot of output when it's being moved, a lot more than key presses. RSA, yeah. Iceblade says if used often, then I would do from function, and it should be implemented to have better random at that point. I mean, if there is any takeaway from all this conversation, is it is add the human element to the randomness. That's always the best thing to do. No doubt. Maybe you can have a custom hardware, you know, like a chip that is designed to generate randomness for you, but for any standard PC application, you cannot expect the user to have such a thing plugged into his PC. Two eyes, one for the book, one for chat. We have hardware random generators for quite some time though. But are they a part of the standard PC architecture? That's what I'm asking. Cosmic rays. Golga Katani says newer CPUs can generate random number. It's used in dev random. Yes, that's what Rutlex said 5 minutes ago, but what I was semi-worried about is whether this is really random, like you could put your life on it, or it's as close to perfect as can be. There is no really random in existence. Okay. I just figured as soon as you involve a human element, then, you know, it's pretty random. Okay, in Unix-like operating systems, dev random and dev u random are special files that provide random numbers from a cryptographically secure pseudo-random number generator. Okay, environmental noise collected from device drivers and other resources. User can obtain random numbers from CSPRNG simply by reading the file. Not all operating systems implemented the same methods for dev random and dev urandom. While entropy available is low, dev random will block on newer systems. This typically happens at program startup until entropy is sufficient before permanently unblocking. The dev urandom device typically was never a blocking device, even if the pseudo-random number generator seed was not fully initialized with entropy since boot. Since kernel 5.6, dev random only blocks when CSPRNG hasn't initialized. Once initialized, dev random behave the same as dev urandom. Since 5.17, the random number generator switched from using SHA1 crypto hash function in the entropy collector to Blake2s. What is that? Cryptographically hash function based on Daniel J. Bernstein's Cha-Cha stream cipher, but a permuted copy of the input block. Okay, anyways, it's more secure. That's what I meant. Critique of how Linux mixes different sources of entropy. It could modify its output to nullify the randomness of the other sources of entropy. Okay. Goga Katani says the rd rand command in assembly. Jacob Werner, one of my favorite random algorithms is the Mersenne twister, but that's from C++. Okay, this was a nice side quest here, not actually a part of learning C, but nevertheless interesting to dive a little bit in randomness. Okay, and Rutlax says that's random enough for most use cases. Yes, that's definitely sure. I agree. Iceblade says basically PC isn't random. The diversions are how you learn the ground. Yeah. I just wanted to say, if I were to make a program in C or in whatever, and I need to create some randomness, I will most likely first decide how important it is. You know, if it's just some kind of a kids program, that doesn't matter that much. You know how random it is. You know, just do the time seed as we did in the code. It's pretty good. You know, that don't need better than that. On the other hand, if you want, it's unlikely that I will ever create some kind of life-dependent program, you know. But if I would want to go as hard as possible, I would probably go with the knowledge that I have now. I would probably go with dev random plus move the mouse. Move the mouse until the progress bar fills up. You know, you know the drill. That feels like a multiplication of randomness quite a bit enough, you know. What for, that always remains a question, but I meant just to spice it up a little bit, the dev random, right? Just a little bit with the mouse. You could do the same thing using just a while loop, but the for loop can help keep the code cleaner. Here are two pieces of equivalent code. Note how the for loop is just a more compact representation. Okay, print numbers between 1 and 9 inclusive, using a while statement here. Okay, we set the I to 0, and then we type while I is less than 10, print I is 0, increase it, do it again as long as it's not 10, and once it gets to 10, it will print it once again inclusively, because it increases the I value after it's already printed, so it will include it as it says inclusive. Do the exact same thing with a for loop. For I equals 0, I is less than 10, increase the number, increase the value of I. Print I is 0, and then increase it as long as it's less than 10. To be honest, this one is slightly easier for me to read right now, but that's only because I like practice with the syntax for the for loop. So that's all, I think. That's right, folks. They do exactly the same thing. The last for loop is very common. Yeah, I know. They do the exact same thing, but you can see how the for statement is a little more compact and easy on the eyes. That's exactly the opposite of what I just said. JavaScript users will fully appreciate its C origins at this point. It's split into 3 parts, separated by semicolons. The first is initialization, the second is the loop condition, and the third is what should happen at the end of the block if the loop condition is true. All 3 of these parts are optional. For initialize things, loop if this is true, and do this after each loop. So the 3 parts of the for loop. Note that the loop will not execute even a single time if the loop condition starts off false. You can use the comma separator to do multiple things in each clause of the for loop. Okay, for I is 0, and I think this should be read end if you're doing multiple things. So I is 0, j is 999. Okay, I is less than 10. Increase the I, decrease the j, and print some stuff. print some stuff until I is less than 10. Okay, so that's going to we had the exact same thing in the last lesson, literally. But anyways, an empty for will run forever. Okay, for 3 conditions that are empty, and just run it forever. The switch start statement. Depending on what languages you're coming from, you might or might not be familiar with switch, or C's version might even be more restrictive than you're used to. This is a statement that allows you to take a variety of actions depending on the value of an integer expression. Basically, it evaluates an expression to an integer value, jumps to the case that corresponds to that value. Execution resumes from that point. If a break statement is encountered, then execution jumps out of the switch. Here is an example where for a given number of goats, we print out a gut feel of how many goats that is. Okay. Int main, int goat count is 2. Okay, so the switch starts with the goat count. Which is 2. Okay, so it's if the goat count is 0, you have no goats. If goat count is 1, you have a singular goat. No, that's not right. I'm reading it wrong. Case 2, you have a brace of goats. You have a bona fide plethora of goats. Okay, let's read the explanation. In this example, the switch will jump to the case 2 and execute from there. When if it hits a break, it jumps out of switch. Also, you might see that default label there at the bottom. This is what happens when no cases match. Every case, including default, is optional, and they can occur in any order, but it's really typical for default, if any, to be listed last. So the whole thing acts like an if-else cascade. Except for the order doesn't matter. So this number here is a value for the goat count integer. Okay. If else cascade. If goat count is 0, print you have no goats. Else if else if else. Okay. Well, this is pretty self-explanatory, I think, for everyone. So I'm not going to dive too deep into this. With some key differences. Switch is often faster to jump to the correct code, though the spec makes no such guarantee. If else can do things like relational conditions like a less than and a greater than or equal. and floating point and other types, while switch cannot do that. There is one more neat thing about switch that you sometimes see that is quite interesting: fall through. Remember how break causes us to jump out of switch? Well, what happens if we don't break? Turns out we just keep on going into the next case, and it's demo time. Okay, switch X, case 1, do this, do that. So we don't fall through here, but break instead. If X is 1, this switch will first hit case 1. It will print 1, but then it just continues on to the next line of code, which prints 2. And then at last we hit a break here. If X is 2, then we just hit the case 2 and we break immediately. Not having a break is called fall through. Okay, pro tip: always put a comment in the code where you intend to fall through, like I did above. It will save other programmers from wondering if you meant to do that. Fair point, fair point. In fact, this is one of the common places to introduce bugs in C programs, forgetting to put a break in your case. You gotta do it if you don't want to just roll into the next case. This was considered such a hazard that the designers of the Go programming language made the break the default. You have to explicitly use Go's fall through statement if you want to fall into the next case. Iceblade says, "Oh, did you know it fell through like that? I thought it was just do default in that case." Bugs. Earlier I said that switch works with integer types. Keep it that way. Don't use floating point or string types in here. One loophole-ish thing here is that you can use character types because those are secretly integers themselves. So this is perfectly acceptable. Switch C, case A. Okay, break case B. Case C. Modern compilers should warn about fall throughs. I kind of want to feel that. But you might need to remove the comment. I will leave the comment and then I will remove it. Don't copy type. Okay, now it's too late. Okay, never mind. Exit. Okay, sorry. Otherwise, you won't remember switch syntax. Good. Put the mic over here. Okay. Switch. We need to initialize x is 1. Or do we need to make it int x is 1? Okay, switch. He wants to read errors and learn. Yeah, that's what I said. Case 1. Interesting how Emacs lines up this, but we'll get to that later on. Printf 1 GCC m random.c. Okay. I'll put this here. And then remove it later. Okay, why did it go? Why did it indent here? I'm confused. And it didn't indent over there. How is this a thing? What is this editor doing here? Okay. Case 2. Now it did it. Okay, never mind. What Aaron just wrote is too long for me to read. Print F2 break here. Case 3 print F3 okay, break. Okay, here's my first error. Expected equal comma attribute before equals token int x is 1. And that's even without the this is just the default compiler without the all of the warnings. That's actually a common way to indent a switch. Okay. Okay. Well, what can you do? One and two. Okay, so history grep extra. I just wanted to remember the syntax for all of the errors. GCC wall extra, not that hard to remember, but I wasn't sure. Do we need pedantic or not? Okay, this statement may fall true. So rootlex was correct, but we have the comment still in there, and compiler ignored the comment. Okay, so just the word fall true. If you add anything else, it's no longer detected. Fall true. What if I put a space here? Fall true. Let's try that. Without the extra word that was here previously. Oh, it's still it's still good. I'm just not allowed to put any more words. This is an old way, by the way. Now we have attributes, but that's for later. The comment is always ignored. Wait, what? The comment apparently isn't ignored, you know, because apparently the compiler is supposed to give out a warning unless you tell the compiler not to give you a warning. It's fun. GCC 15 is using C23 as default, so I think we are already doing that. std equals C23 pedantic. Okay, but you said try fall true. In which way? In the comment? Like this? Or without the comment? Instead of the comment? Like this? I'm not sure what you meant exactly, but I believe you meant this. Jacob Werner says some flags I commonly use with GCC is G, wall, W error, W error again, W extra. It seems to help with bugs like comparing unsigned with signed. I like F sanitizer and equals address too, but you can't use sanitizer in GDB. You meant W conversion? I think so, but I meant, reading rootlex. I think so, but I may not remember the exact attribute name. Can't check the documents right now. Let's save this and give it a try. This statement, warning fall true attribute ignored. With spaces. A fault rule declaration may only be used in a switch statement. Oh, the semicolon. Yeah, now it compiled without any warning. Semicolon was needed. But the standard doesn't need to be a C23 because it is default in GCC 15. Comment is a hack, but attributes are part of the language. Okay, that's good to know. It's good to know. Sorry, I'm just contemplating a little bit on this. By the way, I switched to seed or testing. I don't know what I did. Even before the last stream. Already on the last stream we had GCC 15 here, so that's why I wasn't worried about the standard being C23. Okay, if x equals 1, this switch will first hit... we read that already, didn't we? Not having a... always put a comment. Okay. Earlier I said... in fact, this is one of the common places of bugs. Earlier I said that switch works with integer types. Keep it that way. Okay, characters. Okay, finally you can use enums in switch since they are also integer types, but more on that in the enum chapter. Chapter 4, functions. Passing by value. The reason why I'm scrolling through this is I'm not complaining, but learning programming is taking more of my concentration than doing Linux LPIC You know, for some reason I can do LPIC for 5 hours, but whatever I learn in these programming lessons, it kind of takes, I don't know, double of my energy. I think we should end here. Functions will take more time. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Because although this feels like just 4 pages, I don't want to just read the 4 pages out loud. I want to properly go through them, understand what's going on, and if I get stuck on anything, and I will get stuck on things, I want to invest proper energy into understanding what's going on, and that is what will take a little bit of time. What I was thinking about, we will stop here. What I was thinking about sometimes during today's stream is that we should simply stop where it, like the last time, where it feels like a nice place to stop, right? So not exactly to make, you know, big parts as in chapter, you know, this or chapter that. Iceblade says, that's interesting that they added a comment that does that. It's not a comment. Do you mean the attribute, or do you mean the comment? You already know 90% of what is in LPIC. Yes, yes. I mean, that's the reason. Knowing more in advance is the reason why less energy is being expended. Yes. The fall through I meant. Iceblade, I know that you meant fall through. I'm just asking you, did you mean the forward slash fall through, or did you mean the angled brace, whatever it's called? Did you mean this? Because as we learned today in C23, this attribute has been introduced so that you can tell the compiler that we're good. The actual comment. Okay, the actual comment. Good. I suspect the comment is not a part of the standard, but simply because programmers would tell other programmers about their intention to fall through with a comment, and so someday the compiler creators have simply decided to implement it that way. It like not being a part of the standard, but if we detect a possible fall through, then check for the fall through comment. If fall through comment is detected, then don't make a warning, because obviously that's intended. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. So not being a part of the standard, right? While this is now part of the standard, so if you want to do it properly, then you use what makes more sense. But if you're using an older compiler, then maybe a comment could be a better way to do it. I don't know, because here, if I do the C17, ISO C doesn't support attributes before C23, and GCC 15 is doing a pretty good job over here with explaining what's wrong with the code. This is really very clear and also tells me that I need C23 to utilize this functionality. Oh, sorry for my coffee. I'm gonna turn that off. You can do attribute fall through, but that's not part of the standard, yet works in most compilers, even the old ones. But if the comment works in the older compilers, then why not just use comments? Honestly, I feel at this very moment in 2026, we now have GCC 15 and we have LLVM 23 almost upon us in a couple of months. These two are like the main C compilers out there on Unix-based systems, and they are ready for C23. So if I am doing things like this, I'm thinking to myself, why not utilize the modern functionality and simply tell people who use my code to compile with C23? Why not do that? Because comment in the wrong place does nothing but attribute will make compiler complain. So an error of putting this to the wrong place won't go unnoticed. Yes, but what I meant is I wouldn't use the comment or the attribute fall through that is not a part of the standard. I would just use what is a part of the standard, and I would tell the compiling people to use the proper compiler flags to compile my code. I mean, it's not that out of place to expect the users of my code to have a compatible compiler for C23. It may be a little bit on the edge, but not that much. I mean, if even if I do start making something today, it will take some time until anyone will even want to touch my code and even less compile it. And by that time, we will have like a GCC 15 in every Linux distribution out there. I'm just saying, and C23 is the default in GCC 15, so we're pretty good. Although someone in the past couple of streams asked me if it is possible to cross-compile the C23 code for the old computers such as Amiga, and I said of course it's possible. You just use the modern compiler and tell it to compile for Amiga. But in the meantime, I was doing a little bit of research, and while GCC does support Motorola 68000, there are some like forks of the GCC compiler that are tuned specifically for using GCC on PC, like Linux, BSD, whatever, and for compiling for Amiga. And these forks, at least the one I found, their kind of implementation of modern C standards is I guess, functional, but not verified completely or something along those lines. So it turns out that for some of these GCC forks, you should actually use C89 if you really want like maximum compatibility. Jacob Werner says I had to try several times with rage quitting in C before I started to like it. I find I do best learning small pieces and practicing those a lot works pretty well for me. I'm intrigued by C23 now. I never learned C past the C11 standard. I'd have to use a virtual machine if I was going to learn C23 since I am on Slack. If you're on Slackware, kudos for that. Like on Slackware 15 or on Slackware-current, because we have been talking about people who use Slackware nowadays, and we don't really know anyone who uses the actual version 15, but rather every Slack user seems to be on the dash current. So I'm not sure which GCC is in there. You're on 15, yeah. That's odd, unusual to be honest. Slackware don't have the tools needed. No. The Iceblade, it has the tools. It's just that Slackware 15 is the last stable version of Slackware. For example, like Debian 13. It's just that Debian 13 is from 2025, while Slackware 15 is from 2021, I think. Slackware 15 has GCC version 11.2, which is being ignored. It's two Windows, sorry. We have also see my switch comment above. Which one is that? Important nuance author didn't tell about switch is that cases can only contain compile time expressions. You can't put runtime variables in cases. By the way, Jacob Werner, does Slackware 15 have DistroBox? I know that this tool is rather new, but maybe it's not that new. Maybe it did exist back when Slack 15 came out, because if you can use DistroBox, then you can use GCC 15 without virtual machines. I mean, nothing wrong with virtual machines, but they add some needless overhead. Rootlock says, so you can write case I colon, where I is a variable, only literal numbers and compile time expressions like size of and such. I need to like Jacob Werner said, I need a little bit of practice in order to wrap my head fully around that. But first, I need to do what I promised to my own self, and that is the thing from the last lesson that I gave myself a homework for. Jacob Werner says, I'm checking Slack build sites for DistroBox. I do compile stuff myself. and I want a newer version. I mean, DistroBox will simply give you like Docker or similar access to any other Linux distribution, but you will be able to call upon those executables from your Slackware. So it's kind of having containerized software from other distribution, but which you can use in your Slack without getting messed up with your own system. Isn't DistroBox just a shell script? Now that I don't actually know. C23 introduced const expressions though, so maybe this is allowed now. I'm a little bit like Jacob Werner said above. I mean, I never really I never rage quit. I'm talking about learning C. I have never rage quitted. I know it's grammatically incorrect, but I'm trying to emphasize that I have never done such a thing as rage quitting learning C. However, I have a different issue with my learning, and that's I give up, not because I have hit a wall or something and got angry. I just lack a little bit of motivation to continue, and this is the idea behind this live stream. You guys are my motivation here. And Jacob Werner says, I find I do best learning small pieces and practicing those a lot works pretty well for me. So that's, I think that's the same for most people. You know, you can't really grasp everything at once. You need to digest little by little and build upon. You will get lost if you try to swallow too much at once. It just won't fit. Anyways, FizzBuzz is your first homework. Yes, exactly that. We say here elephant should be eaten in pieces. Never heard of that one. I mean, makes sense, but I just didn't hear about that particular phrase here. How is Slack 15 treating you anyway? Well, you're not here. I'm gonna remove my smart hat for now. Iceblade says, I think there is an equivalent one in Swedish when you should not eat like a snake. So not swallow your entire prey at once. I like the elephant one more. It's a lot bigger, and yet the emphasis is on chopping it bit by bit. Rootluck says, I don't know, it works for snakes. Let me just link the forum one more time. That's not my forum. Okay, so what I linked on the chat is the link to my forum, where we will discuss a little bit more about these lessons. It's just that right now it's a little bit out of sync. I will try to fix that soon, tomorrow maybe, because the 3 lessons that are hiding behind that link that I just pasted are doing with the previous book that we started. So I need to archive that and put out 2 new topics in regards to the book that we're currently using, the Beej's guide. Anyways, if you guys want to join the forum, please do. I like contributions there, but I can't, tell people go to the forum. I can just say please. Jacob says, I seem to have less problems with node dependency management and have less problems like apt trying to remove something it shouldn't. Even though I am on 15, I still can compile C++17. I can't quite guess what you meant by apt trying to remove something it shouldn't. But from my experience, people usually say that when they don't understand how apt works. So from my own apt experience, yes, apt removes things on its own when you use a testing distribution and when you randomly type apt get dist upgrade and blindly press yes on every question that pops up, then absolutely yes, every now and then it will remove a lot of stuff that you didn't want removed. But these cases are not supposed to be, you're supposed to, if you are an apt administrator, then you should know how it works. And once you know how it works, then you can't really say that apt tried to do things that I didn't want apt to do. Because once you say that, it's on you, Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not that I'm trying to point a finger at you and like laugh at you in an ugly way. I'm just saying that apt is pretty predictable. It's just that you have to understand what you're doing and when you're doing. With the Debian stable, I am not sure that you would have any such issues unless you add some external repositories which then create conflicts, which are over your head, you know. Iceblade, see you next time. Aaron says I use C++ 0 times 20/23. Gogo Katani says thanks for the stream and goodbye. Yep. C23 next Sunday. I tried to read the pun, but I failed. But okay. Jacob, join my forum or my matrix room. Maybe we can catch up a little bit. Both of you, actually, who aren't on my on the matrix room, we chat like all of the time, every day, entire day. So there are different topics happening over there. But on the forum, we're trying to make it cleaner, keep it cleaner, and that's why the traction is low. But I will do my best to force some clean traction into the forum as much as I can. Anyways, one more message. Jacob Werner, a newer feature I heard about in upcoming version of apt is a way to reverse what was done, sort of like DNF. Sure, I've got a few hours before I should eat and do laundry. Okay. See you both there, and see you next Sunday on the same stream.